Welcome to Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. Brought to you by Elite Consulting Partners, it's the only podcast offering unfiltered guidance and direct advice for all things concerning financial advisors, RIAs, and the practitioners in the wealth management business. Learn more and subscribe today at eliteconsultingpartners.com/podcast. And now, here's your host, Frank LaRosa.
Hey everybody, welcome to Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. I am your host, Frank LaRosa, and I am joined by the best right-hand person in the world, Stacey Frank. How you doing?
Hey everybody, happy to be here.
You look great. Thanks for joining me today.
We all look good. Everyone looks good.
I say thanks for joining me today, but I really wouldn't do this without you. So,
I know.
Anyway, so today, for those of you watching, if you have been watching our podcast, we appreciate you joining. Once again, if you're new to our podcast, and if you're only listening, don't forget to check out our YouTube podcast, which is Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa on YouTube. You can go check me out on Instagram, which is franklarosa.elite. And they're not always like this if you're watching us on YouTube. We don't always do them in this form and fashion.
But they're never scripted.
But they are never scripted.
Never scripted. This is raw material.
So we typically talk about what we're talking about during the course of the week, things that come up with our advisors, situations, deal issues, the psychological side of helping financial advisors make a move. And so we thought we're at the third day of our conference, our Ignite conference here in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And what you can't see from here is off to the right. We have a list of a bunch of sponsors, independent broker-dealers, a few RIAs that have come here for the week to really talk to us about their firms and really get us to understand and dig deeper into why their firm is right for a subset of our clients. And I think that's sort of the topic that we want to talk about today is what we do behind the scenes. And what you don't see here behind the scenes is 60 some odd people that are part of Elite Consulting Partners that get up every single day and try to do their best to guide advisors to find the right new home for their practice. And so, Stacey thought, like, what a great time to talk about why a financial advisor needs to work with someone like us.
Right. So, why should we work with you? Oh, you're a recruiter. Oh, you're a headhunter. There's so much more depth to what we do and why advisors can't not work with someone like us.
So, what are your key, whether it's this week or not, but, typically, how do you think you differentiate yourself from not necessarily our competition? And listen, this is actually, if you're in this space, you can take this video and send it to an advisor you're working on. This is really about why, if you're a financial advisor and you're thinking about making a move, why you should work with a professional. Whether it's our firm or some of the other quality firms that are out there. There are some great firms out there that do it the right way. There may be some that I feel don't do it the right way, but there are some great firms out there. And the biggest component is understanding that you're better off working with a professional than not working with a professional.
Right, because we're the ones that spend, like you, the advisor, does with your clients. You spend an exorbitant amount of time learning about different ways your clients should invest, or what's the best way for them to grow their money or build an estate or legacy for their clients. That's exactly what we do. And for us, it's not just about go check out this firm, go check out that firm, but it's the how, it's the why. It's looking under the hood of these firms. And we spend a ton of research and resources understanding who does it right and who just says they do.
Yeah, we did some quick math yesterday and figured out that for an advisor to learn about all the firms that we just not learned about, but because we know all these firms, but to do the due diligence just with what we've done in the last 2 days would take about 6 months for an advisor to learn. And, I know that if I was an advisor, I wouldn't want to spend 6 months trying to learn all the different broker-dealers and RIAs and not focus on your clients. And I think that's one of the biggest things is that we are in this every single day. We are talking to firms, and we might not actually be talking to a firm about you, but we might have talked to a firm the year before or recently about a practice that was similar to yours. And then we are able to bring that information to your conversation. And we can help you, I'm not going to say speed up the process because we want you to go at your speed.
I'll simplify it.
Simplify it.
And look, the landscape is vast. There are hundreds and thousands of firms even. Which way do you go? Where do you start? Again, there are so many options. What we are so exceptional at, and why you should work with a consultant, is what's the starting point? It doesn't mean that that's where it begins and ends. It just means it gives you a starting point to start learning. And it's our goal to get it right, and to get it right pretty quickly. So that's why without us, you're just closing your eyes and throwing a dart to see what's the best firm for me. And just because a colleague or a client or somebody in your network may say firm A or B is the right place for them, it doesn't mean it's the right place for you. So our level of analysis and consultation that goes along with helping an advisor start, because that's the hardest point, is where do I start?
Yeah, we had interesting enough, we had an advisor, a client of ours, called me on a Sunday afternoon. This was maybe 6 months ago at this point. And a friend of theirs left one firm and went to another firm and called this group and said, oh, you should come here. It's awesome, right? The water's warm and all this other stuff. And so the advisor, our client, calls me and says, what's the deal? Because we didn't necessarily show the advisor this firm. And I said, well, it's a good firm. We work with them. I don't think it's the right firm for you because of some of the things that you've told me. Yeah, but he said this. Yeah, but he said that. I said, well, he just moved, so he probably got a lot of money to move. So he's probably really happy. And although he went from a firm that we do business with to another firm that we do business with. So we're not beholden to any one firm. And we think there's a firm for everybody. And, we are big on, I know the industry is moving towards independence. A lot of advisors, I think the stat we were shown earlier today is 71% of all advisors that are thinking about making a move are considering independence. But I firmly believe it doesn't mean it's right for everybody.
Right, and our starting point is you, the advisor. It's really working with you, the advisor, the same way you work with your clients. If somebody came to you with, I have $1 million to invest, what should I do with my money? You hear us talk about that a lot. There's no one cookie cutter answer. We have to peel back the layers, peel back the onion, as we say. Advisors are made up of multiple facets of emotions and financials and their family and all these things. How can you just pick firm A that's going to, conquer all of those visions and dreams that you have? That's why working with somebody like us, a consultant, to help you uncover those things from the get-go. So our starting point is pretty close.
Well, again, in the example is, not every $2 or $3 million, this is a much larger producer, but not every $2 million producer is the same. Their practice isn't the same. Their clients aren't the same. Their team isn't the same. They're different individuals. And so what might be right for your buddy who went to, name the firm, right, and why they're happy may not be right for you. And with this advisor that called, we made the introduction. We had them go through the process. Said, okay, fine. If you want to talk to that advisor, that firm, we'll go through that. But here are 4 or 5 reasons I think it's just not the right fit for you. And after a few months, it wasn't a long process. He was like, oh yeah, this isn't the right fit for me. And it's not that I wanted to say I told you so, but I said it in a very nice way. I told you so. But I go back to, so when Stacey brought this topic up to me, and when she says all the time, we work with you like you work with your clients, I go back to a period of time like in 2000, 2001. I was an advisor, and I had just enough of a book of business to have it burn up in flames during the 2000 tech bubble, right? I didn't really have a book. I really had like a pamphlet. But that was when, online trading, do it yourself, and, my buddy's going to run my money. He used to work at UPS, right? Not UBS, UPS, right? And he's investing in stocks like WorldCom and Global Crossings, and many of you in the room are probably too young to remember them, but it wasn't pretty. And the industry was like, oh, is the age of the financial advisor, the full service advisor, dead, right? And really good advisors doubled down and went after it, because the reality was clients of wealth and means shouldn't be and don't want to manage the money on their own. They need to seek a professional, because the professional is one that lives it every single day, thinks about it all the time, services their clients, so that the client, it's themselves, can go out and do the thing that made them the money that they've accumulated, right? Whether they're a business owner or a doctor or a lawyer, whatever it is, to focus on that. That's what we do for our clients that are financial advisors, right? Going it on your own is like you meeting a wealthy client and he says, oh, I just manage all my money at Schwab, right? I have 20 million bucks, I just do it at Schwab. There's going to be some that maybe can get away with that, but the bulk of them need estate planning needs, they need trust and wills, they need all sorts of stuff that, Schwab will claim that they can do that, but the reality is they need a financial professional to help them. And it's no different here. That's why I'm very passionate about this. If you're a financial advisor and you're trying to go this on your own, there are too many variables for you to try to do it on your own without making it a full-time job.
Right, and with all due respect to the recruiters at the firms, they're obviously they want you to come to their firm. Obviously, that's how they win. That's how they build their business. But our goal is to help the advisor differentiate amongst all the different options that are out there. And although the firm recruiters can do that, or the business development folks can do that, it might come off as firm bashing or saying negative things about their competitors, where in reality, we just want the advisor to land in the best place for them. There's nothing worse than trying to push a square peg in a round hole. So our goal is to help them differentiate amongst the firms and see the factual pros, cons, bells and whistles, or negatives. We're going to help them identify all of it.
You had a situation, and you've had multiple, but I can think of one in particular where you were working with this advisor. I believe he was at Wells Fargo. And you were doing your consultative approach, and you were trying to get the advisor to talk to a particular firm. In this case, it was LPL. How many times and how many months did it take you to get this advisor to actually just say, fine, right? I'll talk. Because he, in his mind, thought he knew about, in this particular case, LPL. And so he wasn't going to even go down that road. And if he was working by himself, he probably wouldn't have ever considered them. But tell us about that and how that worked out.
I mean, I think just generally speaking, in his mind, the myth or what maybe somebody in his network was saying is, well, there's an LPL advisor on every corner. What this particular team didn't realize is that there were multiple ways to affiliate. He just saw what he saw on the surface, but he was never guided to look under the hood of, and it could really be any firm. We're not picking on any one firm, but he was never guided to look under the hood to say, okay, you want these three things, this growth trajectory, this way to service your clients, this level of support. And what I said to this particular team was, are you aware that you don't have to do it the 1-800 way? You don't have to be on an island. You can achieve that ownership in a supported way. And there's different models at all the different firms for you to get there. And the pricing and the economics it won't be inhibited. So finally, after 5 or 6 times, he said, you keep saying this to me. I'm like, well, my goal is in your best interest. I sit on the same side of the table as you, Mr. Advisor, and finally agreed and came out of that first meeting with this supported model of independence. And he's like, I think we can do that. I think we can leave the bank successfully. I now see the white glove service of support. I now see that we can achieve this and leave our bank successfully.
We what we're able to do, which is, again, the same thing that an advisor does for their client, is take some of the emotion out of the decisions, right? What a good advisor knows how to do is take, if they see the train coming with a down market or something that's going to affect something within their portfolio, a good advisor can take the emotion out of making that decision and pulling back on a position or reallocating something, firing a manager that they're using because of something that the financial advisor sees, versus the client may be too emotionally tied to that decision, and then therefore they don't make the decision, which could end up being wrong. What we try to do from our side, it's not that we're not emotional about where our clients go. We are, but we sort of take some of the emotional decision or preconceived ideas about one firm over another firm, and we take that off the table so we can really dig deep and find out, these are the things that you said you wanted to do, right? And I can think of another example of a client that we were working with, which was a very large client, and they refused, and this is an example of, not everybody's cut out to go independent. They refused to want to talk to this large wirehouse firm. And everything they told us, everything they were talking about, that particular firm, in my opinion, was the right place for them to go. And for like 6 months, every time myself and the consultant at Elite that was working with them really built a relationship would say, yeah, you need to talk to this firm. No. Finally, we convinced them. And then fast forward a few months, 6 months, and that's where they ended up going. So if we didn't have an unemotional feeling about the firm, because he had some triggers and he had some history with the predecessor firm, so he was bringing that emotion into what is a life-altering, for some of the people on his team, was a life-altering decision because of the economic, the positive economic impact they were going to see. He wouldn't have even talked to them. So because we were able to go in there and be unemotional about it and just go by the facts, you have $50 million clients, you do this, you do that, you need to do premium financing, you need specialized lending, Well, this firm is the best at it. So I understand you had an experience 20 years ago. It's not the same firm. And I think that's where we come out. I think that I'll toot Stacey's horn a little bit with a master's degree in psychology. Maybe talk about...
Everyone needs time in the chair.
Everyone needs time in the chair. Talk about how that has helped with clients that you work with. Because this is as we've heard, as our audience has heard today from some of our speakers, this is a very emotional decision. One of the most emotional decisions that you can make as a financial advisor, because you're talking about, next to your family, you're probably your most valued possession, especially if it's a multi-million-dollar business that you've spent 30 years trying to build. You do not want to mess up a transition.
Yeah, I think many recruiters, and I know there's a lot of recruiters out there. I think many recruiters are seeking for the definitives. What are your assets? What's your trailing 12? What's your payout? And all of those things are super important. We have to understand those things to understand the makeup of your business. However, a true consultant will lead with, I always like to say, tugging on the heartstrings. What's at your core? What's the vision you have for your business? Has anybody ever asked you the question, what do you want to be when you grow up, as we always joke? And often advisors, and somebody said it today, when they're asked that question, they don't know. Well, how can you make such a monumental change in your career, a milestone decision, without knowing where you're headed and what your dreams are and what your vision is and who's helping you get there? We're here to help you define what that is, along with matching the economics and, the practice profile and the product mix and all those things, but tied to, and this is where the psychology comes in, what makes you tick? What gets you up every day? What motivates you with your family and your clients to be the best that you can be? They're not being asked those questions by the recruiters who just want to, get their commissions. Our goal is to get the advisor to the right place. We don't want to get it wrong. We can't get it wrong. It's awful. So we take that deeper dive approach because those things matter in such an important decision in their lives. So that's how we treat it.
Yeah, we work with over 150 different firms. And it's not that the recruiter at the firm is not being truthful or transparent, but in their mind, their firm is the best firm since sliced bread. Like, their firm is awesome and every single advisor should be at my firm. That's how they think. And they don't even understand what's out there. They might know a little bit about the competition, but not really. And so part of our job, which you don't get when you do it by yourself, is we become the filter. There's been times where we've gotten on calls with clients some together. We've hung up. We've introduced the client to the firm. We've hung up, and we've called our clients back and said, they're out. Like, that was awful. Like,
and we can be good cop and bad cop.
Yeah.
Let's face it, advisors don't want to, and they don't have the time to go back to maybe the 10 firms that they looked at to say, I'm not coming there, or why. But we get to act as that buffer. So I think that's really, really important.
We sort of play bad guy. Look, it can be a long process, and you might be talking to 2 or 3 firms towards the end, and you're not really sure, and you don't necessarily want to tell all of those firms. Say you pick one firm that you're going to go to, you don't necessarily need to tell or want to tell the second and third firm that you're not interested in anymore, because you never know what might happen with the firm that you ultimately think you're going to. And so you don't want to burn that bridge. You don't want to ruin the opportunity. That's where we come in, and we are acting like a buffer. We're not lying, right? But we're acting as your buffer and your agent in this process. When we talk about deals, I know there's a big misnomer like, oh, if I use a consultant, my deal is less. It's actually not true. If anything, we actually get you more money because we get to see all the deals from various firms all around the country. So you might be working with a local recruiter or a branch manager if you're talking about the W-2 space, and that local branch manager, because he or she may only recruit 2 or 3 people a year, right, to their firm, they may not know what somebody's doing on the West Coast that's recruiting 10 people or 12 people. They might not know what to even ask their leadership team about deals. We've had a couple this week where we've gotten the deals, and we're looking about, okay, how can we help the advisor tweak the offer? And part of it is good cop, bad cop. By letting the firm that you want to go to, letting that firm understand, this is not a done deal yet. And, there's the other firm is still going to come on strong with an offer. And, basically we try to bid your offer up, not be greedy. I don't believe in being greedy, but making sure that you get a fair deal and you don't leave anything on the table.
And sometimes advisors don't really know what to ask.
Right.
So we sort of sit by the advisor's side to say, okay, I think we're capped on the upfront money, but maybe there's other areas of expenses or ACAT fees
marketing
or technology money. Or marketing. I call it wiggle room. It's that seesaw conversation. Say, okay, we're maxed in this area, but the advisor oftentimes doesn't know where we can find it elsewhere, maybe in enhanced payout for a period of time or whatever it is. There's so many levers we can pull. And we're there to ask all those questions. And truth be known, hate to say it, but we don't get paid any differently if we get more leverage on the upfront or expense lower cost somewhere else. It doesn't affect us. It's pretty much the same everywhere. It's in our best interest to help our clients, just it is for the advisor as they do to theirs. Constantly making that parallel.
I love the when we hear, well, I know the manager, we're buddies, we go way back. He's going to give me a great deal. Not really.
They still have a P&L, right?
They still have a P&L to manage, right? So they are going to try to give you a deal that you think is adequate because it's going to impact their P&L. It's our job to know how far we can push. Because we're live and whatever, I may not say it the way I normally say it, but I love to negotiate, and I typically know I'm done negotiating when they tell me to go F myself. Not when they actually tell me, when I feel like that's the next words out of their mouth, right? Then I know I've pretty much pushed the envelope, and I know that my client has now gotten the best deal that I can get from them, because if I ask one more time, they might yank the deal.
I think one of the things that we do exceptionally well is coaching the recruiters or the business development people. I think, and found a lot of success in giving the advisors choice rather than, here's your deal, go home with your suitcase and go look it over with your family. Let me know what you think. But oftentimes, if an advisor is given choice with our help from the firm, then maybe they feel more empowered to make that decision that's best for them. And then we can continue some wiggle room negotiations from there. But no one is the advisor can on their behalf. Hey, give me 3 different deals. We know how to help construct those so much better.
Yeah, sometimes, when an advisor moves, they're not coming to work for us, right? They're not coming to work for Elite Consulting Partners. They're going to work for that firm. And you have to maintain, hopefully we do our job and you move to a firm that you never want to leave again. I know that sounds counterintuitive to maybe what helps generate revenue for Elite, but the reality is we want our clients to be happy, so that if I refer a potential new client to you and ask, hey, how was it working with Frank or Stacey or somebody from Elite, they're going to give us glowing reviews, and then they'll trust us and help them move, right? But you have to make sure that you're getting the right deal. And I liken it to Tom Brady. I always use Tom Brady. Apparently there's an amazing roast on him on Netflix. I heard it's really funny. Maybe a little bit crude, so we can't really talk about it here. But, I used Tom Brady when he decided to leave the Patriots, right? Tom Brady could have picked up the phone and called any general manager in the NFL. Could have called any owner. Forget about general manager. Could have called any owner in the NFL, and they would have been like, Tom Brady's on the phone. What? Right? And then they'd taken that phone call, that had gotten on their jet, and they would have flown to wherever they needed to fly to. He didn't do that. He decided, obviously with this, we're going to make a move. He called his agent. He told his agent what he wanted, right? I want warm weather. I want control of my offense. I want to bring the players onto the team that I want. Whatever the list was, I want, red jelly beans at my locker room every week. I don't know. But he called his agent because his agent knows all these things that we're talking about. His agent knows all the different bonuses that he can get and structure. And his agent can be the bad guy, which I was going with it, right? His agent can be the bad guy because Tom now has to go play for that team. And you don't want a hostile relationship with, not that we're going to create a hostile relationship with the firms. We can get close. But you're going to, as an advisor, you have to go work for that firm. And in many cases, go work for that local branch manager. You don't want the branch manager to think that you're a jerk, right? And because you were greedy or whatever. You get to tell us how, you use as an example, like when you do it, probably have it more than anyone, when the firm gives your advisor their offer, and then the advisor usually says something to them about, talking to Stacey.
Oh, well, no, thank you very much. Let me go talk to my agent. That's the beauty of the relationship. Is that what you meant? Yep. Okay, that's the beauty of the relationship with us and the advisor. There is no downside. It's win-win. If we're doing our jobs correctly, if we're truly doing right by the advisor, there is no downside for the advisor to work with us. It's a partnership. I would say we're partners in crime. We can be good guy, the bad guy, good cop, bad cop, whatever. But our best interest is in that of our client, which is the advisor. Period. The end.
So I had a situation, this was probably 8 years ago. It was a really great team in the South and was working with, I won't use her name, but a high-ranking individual. Well, she's high-ranking now at Raymond James. I love her to death, but I just won't use her name. Anyway, so she was a regional recruiting director at the time. And we were talking, she got introduced through somebody to this multi-million-dollar team. And then I started talking to them, and we got them engaged. And they would go to these meetings. And so they'd go to a meeting, and she would call me back and be like, we laugh about it all the time now. So she'd call me back and say, that was an awesome meeting. And then they would call and be like, Frank, what the hell? Like, they had a totally different perspective of the meeting. I won't say what they actually said, but totally different perspective of the meeting. And this happened a couple of times. And I finally said to her, or finally said to them, I said to them, I don't understand. Why are you leaving the meeting and not telling her how you feel, or that you're confused, or you don't feel like she's answered your questions? Well, Frank, we're Southern gentlemen, and we just don't talk to women that way. I was like, oh, that's a problem, right? And so I called her, and I had to deliver the message of what was really happening, because I love her to death, but she was unaware, right? And because I was able to then intervene, get them on the same page, we got them to where they wanted to go. They are happy. They have a tremendous business at Raymond James. And but if that advisor tried to go it alone, right, and make that introduction because their friend introduced them, they would not be at Raymond James today because they never would have told her how they really felt.
And that's the best part about a partnership with a consultant.
Right.
You know, obviously, here at Elite, we'd love you to be here with us, but that we spend as much time, we feel, working with the advisor as we do with the business development folks, and really helping make that relationship. Look, it's a marriage. It's a relationship that has to come together. It's going to be highs and lows, but we're there to help facilitate it in a way that the advisor, as the potential prospect or client, can't really do. But we can. We sit in the center of that relationship from start to finish, even if it takes a few years. And we all have those.
Right. So anyway, that was a great way to wrap that up. So thanks for joining us. We hope that if you're thinking about making a move, you seek out the guidance of a professional, specifically this young lady right here, Stacey Frank. What's your email address if they want to get in touch with you?
So Stacey at eliteconsultingpartners.com. Stacey, don't forget the E. That's the tagline.
And your number?
856-816-6322.
Great.
And yourself?
Yeah, and it's obviously Frank at eliteconsultingpartners.com. Don't forget to check out my Instagram account, which is franklarosa.elite. You can DM me if you have any questions, and I'll get you over to any number of the phenomenal consultants that we have here at the firm. I'm very proud of our organization. I'm very proud of the experience that we have here. A lot of former financial advisors, people that have been in the business for a long time.
Tremendous talent.
Tremendous talent that just know what it's like. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're listening, if you have someone that you think is about to go through a transition and they are not really sure what to do because you don't know what you don't know or they don't know what they don't know, forward this podcast to them, and we'll be happy to help them, be honored to help them. So thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. That was cool.
Thanks for listening to Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. If you're looking for more advice or solutions on any topics in the financial services industry, or you just want to subscribe to our podcast, head on over to eliteconsultingpartners.com/podcasts.